2008, the world was falling apart. Banks were folding, millions were losing their jobs, and the economy was basically a dumpster fire. On a tiny island in the middle of the Pacific, Elon Musk was watching his third rocket in a row explode into the ocean. He was broke. Actually, he was worse than broke. He was $100,000 in debt and crashing on friends' couches. To the experts, he was just a rich kid who'd gambled his PayPal millions on a midlife crisis. They called him a clown. They said his toy rockets were a joke and that nobody would ever buy an electric car. But while the world was laughing, Musk was busy. He didn't just want to build a business. He wanted to break the industry. This is the story of how a bullied kid from South Africa stopped caring about the rules and decided to build the future himself. Elon Musk didn't exactly have a happy childhood. Growing up in Pretoria, South Africa, his home life was a nightmare. His dad, Errol, was a brilliant engineer but an incredibly tough and often abusive man. Elon has since described him as a terrible human being who made his life miserable. At school, things weren't any better. Elon was the quiet, nerdy kid who always had his head in a book, which made him an easy target for bullies. One time, a group of kids threw him down a flight of stairs and beat him so badly he ended up in the hospital. But while his real world was painful, his internal world was exploding. By age 5, he realized his brain worked differently. It was like a non-stop storm of ideas he couldn't turn off. He taught himself to code at 10 years old just so he could make his own video games. At 12, he sold his first game named Blaster for $500. That was the light bulb moment. He realized that technology was his ticket out. As soon as he finished high school, he left South Africa for North America. He wasn't just looking for a degree. He was looking for a way to get to Silicon Valley, as it was the only place on Earth where a guy with big ideas could actually win. In 1995, Elon landed in Silicon Valley with nothing but a beat-up car and a massive pile of student debt. He tried to get a job at Netscape, the only internet company that mattered back then, but he was so awkward he just stood in the lobby, too shy to talk to anyone. When they never called him back, he didn't give up. He just decided to build his own company instead. He and his brother Kimball started Zip2, a digital version of the Yellow Pages. They were so broke they couldn't afford an apartment. Elon rented a tiny office, slept on a cheap futon, and showered at the local YMCA. He coded all night and kept the website running on one single computer during the day. He called this eating glass and staring into the abyss. It wasn't glamorous, it was a desperate fight to stay alive. The grind paid off. In 1999, Compaq bought Zip2 for $307 million. Elon had his 7% share in Zip2. At 27, Elon went from sleeping on an office floor to having $22 million in the bank. Most people would have retired to a beach, but Elon immediately spent $1 million on a McLaren F1 supercar and put almost everything else, $10 million, into his next idea, X.com. He wanted to take on the giant banks and move money through the internet. People thought he was crazy, but X.com eventually became PayPal, the company that would change how the world spends money and make Elon a $100 millionaire. PayPal was growing fast, but the internal drama was even faster. While Elon was finally taking a break for a honeymoon with his first wife, Justine, his own management team went behind his back. They hated his leadership style and his technical choices. By the time Elon's plane landed, he wasn't the boss anymore. He had been fired as CEO and replaced by Peter Thiel. Most founders would have sued or walked away in a rage, but Elon stayed on as a shareholder, keeping his eyes on the exit. In 2002, that exit arrived when eBay bought PayPal for $1.5 billion. After taxes, Elon walked away with $180 million. This was the moment that defined him. Instead of playing it safe, he decided to double down on 3 of the most difficult businesses on the planet. He put $100 million into SpaceX, $70 million into Tesla, and $10 million into Solar City. He was now back to having almost zero cash, betting his entire fortune that he could build better rockets than Boeing and better cars than Ford. The experts didn't just doubt him, they mocked him. Aerospace giants like Lockheed Martin laughed at the idea of a dot-com guy building rockets. Elon was officially a one-man venture capital firm, with a 100% chance of going totally bankrupt if even one of these bets failed. He wasn't just starting companies, he was picking a fight with the titans of industry. In 2001, Elon flew to Moscow with a briefcase full of cash and a plan that sounded like a fever dream. He wanted to buy 3 Russian ballistic missiles to send a greenhouse to Mars, specifically decommissioned ICBMs. They are massive, Cold War-era weapons designed to carry nuclear warheads across oceans. The project was named Mars Oasis, and he thought $21 million would be enough to turn these weapons of war into vessels for Mars. But the meetings with Russians were a nightmare. Picture a room full of old-school Soviet engineers, chain-smoking, downing bottles of vodka, and looking at Elon with pure contempt. Musk tried to talk shop, offering $8 million per rocket. The Russians just looked at each other and smirked. They didn't even bother negotiating. They literally spat on his shoes to show him exactly what they thought of his offer. Then came the real insult. They looked Elon in the eye and told him the price was now $18 million each. When Elon complained that the price had just doubled for no reason, they started taunting him. They asked him, "What's the matter, boy? Don't you have the money?" He was laughed out of the building empty-handed and humiliated. Most people would have caught the flight home and tucked their tail between their legs. But on the plane ride back, Elon was typing furiously on a spreadsheet. He started breaking down what a rocket is actually made of. Then came the Idiot Index. Idiot Index is the calculation coined by Elon Musk to determine the difference between what a product costs to buy versus the cost of its raw materials. He realized that a rocket is just a tube of high-grade aluminum, some titanium, copper, and carbon fiber. On the open market, those materials cost almost nothing compared to the Russian missiles. In fact, the raw materials were only about 2% of the cost of a rocket. The rest was just middleman markups and bureaucratic waste. Elon found out that NASA and giants like Boeing were paying $1,500 for a single door latch, just because it was labeled aerospace grade. When he asked his engineers what was so special about it, the answer was basically nothing. So Elon went to a hardware store, bought a $30 bathroom stall latch, slammed it on the table and told his team, "This will close the door in my bathroom and it'll close the door on Mars." He had just saved $1,470 on a single part. Multiply that by 200 latches per rocket, and you start to see how he planned to actually make space affordable. He did the same thing with the $200,000 turbo pumps that suppliers were trying to sell him. He looked at the $10,000 worth of steel and aluminum inside them and said, "No, we're building our own." He was going to build the Falcon 1 for $6.7 million, while the Russians were still trying to charge $21 million for their old toys. By 2008, that cocky ambition had led Elon straight into a nightmare. The global financial crisis was turning the American economy into a graveyard. While the Dow tumbled 500 points in a day and 2.6 million jobs vanished, Elon Musk was standing in the center of the mess. His personal life was a wreck. His 8-year marriage to Justine collapsed in a very public, very messy divorce. In a state of total chaos, he met actress Tallulah Riley and proposed after only 10 days, a move Tallulah said she would have said yes to anyone half sensible at the time. But even a new romance couldn't hide the fact that his 2 children, SpaceX and Tesla, were bleeding to death. SpaceX had already tried to launch 3 rockets. All 3 had exploded or failed. The experts were laughing. NASA legends like Neil Armstrong and Gene Cernan were testifying to Congress, calling Musk's vision a danger to the industry. To Elon, that was a knife to the heart. His heroes were the ones trying to shut him down. But on September 28, 2008, the world watched the 4th and final Falcon 1 sit on a remote island in the Pacific. This was it. No more money. No more chances. The engines ignited, the rocket cleared the pad, and for the first time, a private company reached orbit. SpaceX was saved. But the victory lap was short. Tesla was still on life support. By Christmas Eve, the car company was just hours away from total bankruptcy. Elon spent the entire day on the phone, begging and scrambling. He closed a funding deal at 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve, the very last hour of the last day possible. He had survived by the skin of his teeth, turning a year of total disaster into the greatest comeback in business history. By 2009, the smoke from the financial crisis was finally starting to clear. Suddenly, the amateurs at SpaceX weren't just building toys in a warehouse. They were a legitimate superpower in the space race. But Elon had a chip on his shoulder. He wanted to prove that a private company could do what only world superpowers, the US, Russia, and China, had ever pulled off. In 2010, he launched the Dragon capsule into orbit, circled the Earth, and recovered it safely. 2 years later, he upped the ante. In May 2012, the world watched as the Dragon successfully docked with the International Space Station. It was the first time a private spacecraft had ever pulled off a move that complex. Elon had named the ship after Puff the Magic Dragon, specifically to mock the critics who said his goals were a puff of smoke. While SpaceX was conquering the sky, Tesla was busy trying to reinvent the very idea of a car. For years, people thought electric cars were just glorified, slow-moving golf carts. Elon hated that. In 2012, he released the Model S. Model S was a total culture shock for the car world. Instead of a cramped engine under the hood, the entire bottom of the car was basically a giant, flat battery. This made it incredibly heavy but also impossible to flip over, giving it the handling of a low-slung race car. Inside, Tesla wiped away the cluttered mess of knobs and dials, replacing them with one giant, glowing touchscreen that controlled everything. But the real magic trick was that the car was connected to the internet. If there was a bug or a way to make the brakes better, Tesla would just send a software update while the owner was sleeping. The industry was stunned. In 2013, Motor Trend named the Model S its Car of the Year, the first time in history the award went to a car without an internal combustion engine. Critics who had laughed at Tesla for years were suddenly scrambling to explain how a startup had built the best car in the world. By 2013, Elon's world had completely flipped. Tesla went public, the stock price was skyrocketing, and for the first time the company was actually turning a profit. The guy who had been negative broke and screaming in his sleep just 5 years earlier, was now a billionaire. But if you think Elon used that money to relax on a beach, you don't know Elon. He was already obsessed with the next move, making rockets land themselves. In 2015, on a cold December night at Cape Canaveral, SpaceX did something that changed the history of spaceflight forever. They launched a Falcon 9 and sent 11 satellites into orbit. Musk stood in the control room, his heart pounding, fully expecting an explosion. Instead, he saw a 15-story skyscraper of fire descending from the clouds. The rocket didn't crash. It hovered for a split second and landed back perfectly on a concrete pad. For the first time, a massive orbital rocket actually came back in one piece. It proved that going to space didn't have to be a multi-billion-dollar, one-and-done mission. Instead, it showed we could fly rockets over and over again just like a commercial airplane. But while SpaceX was touching the stars, Tesla was descending into a nightmare. In 2017, Musk launched the Model 3, his first affordable car. He had over 400,000 people waiting with $1,000 deposits, and he promised the world he would be churning out 5,000 cars a week. He tried to build the alien dreadnought, a factory so automated with advanced robots that it would look like a high-speed blur. But it was a disaster. The robots couldn't handle the complexity of wiring harnesses. They fought each other and jammed the lines. Musk later admitted that excessive automation was a mistake and that humans are underrated. Tesla was burning cash so fast it was only weeks away from total liquidation. This was the era of production hell. To save the company, Elon moved into the Fremont factory. He wasn't just managing, he was living there. He slept on the hard floor under his desk or on a cold sofa in a conference room. He wore the same clothes for 5 days straight, his eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. He wanted his team to see that if they were suffering, he was suffering more. He even said he didn't have time to go home and shower. When the main factory building literally ran out of physical space to fix the bottlenecks, Elon did something that made the experts laugh again. He built a massive general assembly line inside a giant tent in the parking lot.
From where we are right now, we are not able to see the giant tent. The company has been pretty tight-lipped about all of this, but I can tell you that it is not the structure itself that's drawing all the attention, but rather what's reportedly happening inside this tent that's the big talker. Now, the electric car company CEO Elon Musk tweeted saying needed another general assembly line to reach 5,000 a week Model 3 production. A new building was impossible, so we built a giant tent in 2 weeks.
Critics called it a clown show and predicted the tent would collapse or the cars would be junk. But it worked. By the summer of 2018, that tent helped Tesla finally hit the 5,000 cars a week goal. To celebrate, Musk pulled his wildest stunt yet. He launched the massive new Falcon Heavy rocket into space. For a test weight, he used his own red Tesla Roadster. Millions watched the live stream as a mannequin named Starman sat in the driver's seat, leaning his elbow out the window like he was on a Sunday drive. David Bowie's Space Oddity looping on the radio, and a sign on the dashboard that read, "Don't panic." Elon Musk might be sleeping on a factory floor today, but his eyes were never off the stars. By 2022, Elon Musk was the richest man on Earth. He had conquered the road and the orbit, and now he was looking at the digital world. He had become obsessed with Twitter, a platform he called the world's digital town square, but he hated what it had become. To him, the site was dying, choked by bots and a woke mind virus that he believed was suppressing free speech. In typical Musk fashion, he didn't just write a blog post about it. He decided to buy the whole thing for $44 billion. What followed was a chaotic, month-long legal soap opera. Elon tried to back out, claiming the platform was overrun by fake bot accounts. But Twitter's board took him to court, cornered him legally, and forced him to close the deal. Crowned by the internet and himself as the chief twit, Elon made an entrance. He walked into Twitter's San Francisco headquarters carrying a literal porcelain bathroom sink. He tweeted, "Entering Twitter HQ. Let that sink in." It was a joke, but the punchline was brutal. Within hours, he fired CEO Parag Agrawal, CFO Ned Siegel, and top legal executive Vijaya Gadde, the very people who had dragged him to court, personally escorting them out of the building. What followed was a hardcore restructuring. He slashed the staff by 75%, firing thousands of people in waves. He told the remaining employees they had to commit to extreme hardcore work, 120-hour weeks, sleeping in the office, or take their severance and leave. He even turned conference rooms into makeshift bedrooms with mattresses and bedside tables, bringing the production hell mentality to a software company. Then he did the unthinkable. He killed the bird. He ripped out the iconic Bluebird logo and rebranded the entire platform to X. To Elon, this wasn't just a name change. He was reaching back to his 1999 dream of X.com. He wanted to build an everything app. A Western version of China's WeChat where you could post a video, find a job, buy groceries, and manage your bank account all in one place. The transition was a bloodbath. Advertisers fled, terrified by the chaos. The media predicted the site would crash within weeks because there weren't enough engineers left to keep the lights on. But by early 2026, X hadn't collapsed. It had stabilized into a lean, AI-driven machine. Musk integrated his own AI, Grok, directly into the platform, using the massive firehose of daily posts to train a digital brain that could think and joke in real time. He launched X Money, finally moving toward his 20-year-old goal of replacing traditional banks with a digital ledger. For Elon, X wasn't just a social network anymore. It was the nervous system for the future. He had taken the world's loudest megaphone and turned it into his personal laboratory for the next phase of human evolution. By early 2026, Elon Musk was done playing CEO for 5 different companies. In February 2026, he pulled off his biggest move yet. He merged SpaceX with his AI company xAI. It was a $1.25 trillion deal that effectively combined the hardware of the world's most advanced rockets with the brain of his newest AI, Grok. He immediately put the combined company on a fast track to go public. Now, the countdown is officially on for June 12, 2026. Investment banks are already scrambling to price the stock, with initial forecasts aiming for a staggering $1.75 trillion valuation on opening day. But the real magic was happening back on the ground at Tesla. Musk made an announcement that he was completely ending production on the iconic Model S and Model X vehicles. Actually, he was gutting those factory lines to make room for mass production of the third-generation Optimus humanoid robot. These weren't just clunky prototypes anymore, they were powered by the same AI clusters used in his rockets. By April 2026, over 1,000 Optimus units were already working on Tesla's own production lines, doing the dangerous and boring jobs humans hated. He had successfully integrated his world. Your Tesla car now had Hey Grok as its voice assistant. Your X app was launching X Money to handle your banking, and his Starlink satellites were providing the high-speed data to keep it all connected. As of May 2026, Musk's net worth is over $800 billion, putting him within striking distance of becoming the world's first trillionaire. Elon Musk is the most powerful non-government figure in human history. But with all this power, the question isn't whether Elon can build the future. It's whether we're ready to live in it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't yet, make sure to check out my video diving into the chaotic history of OpenAI. Seriously, you don't want to miss that story.